Welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins, joined by Terrick Elgindy, super judge and super promoter.
How are you, Tim? Great to be here. Happy to join you guys again. I have to say, I miss you guys.
We missed you. It's good to see you again. Chris Cormier, the real deal.
Been a long time, been a little lonely time.
Chris is bringing the energy. We are always happy to be with you and talking about the thing we love, the sport of bodybuilding across all divisions, with, as Terrick loves to say, emphatically, like an angry Judge Judy, just the facts.
Jack.
Just the facts, Jack. So, just the facts, one of your Brazilian countrymen, I'm going to say this correctly, because the R is an H. Like my friend Rivaldo, the soccer player.
Good.
Yes. Rafael Brandon.
You do such a great job, Tim. Let's have Chris Cormier try to pronounce this name properly.
Ready? Rafael Brandon. Rafael Brandon.
Okay, it's good. The Brandon is good, but it's not Ra. It's Rafael.
They changed the R's
I'm
to
American.
It's like Hoyce and Hicks and Gracie.
I'm American. Rafael Brandon.
That was
Yeah.
Chris stuck the landing. Well, Rafael Brandon is an open bodybuilder, as you all know, who was chipping his way up bodybuilding this year. And we talked about him in a previous episode when we were comparing the mass monsters to the aesthetic guys, the guys that were bringing the clean lines and separation. And he managed to bring those lines and separation and make the top 10 this year.
I was impressed. I mean, I even loved how he came out at the press conference with the present for the guys, some crying towels that they're going to have to experience when they go up against his physique. I'm a big fan of his physique. I love what he's doing. He's building slowly. He's taking his time and not trying to rush the physique and rush the process. Everything that's good comes in time.
Well, I think we have to say that we were all wrong, including myself, because prior to the 2022 Mr. Olympia, all of us said this is one of the deepest lineups. You got guys like Ian Valliere, Michael Crizo, they're huge, they're this and that. And guys like Regan Grimes and Rafael Brandon, it's going to be an uphill battle for them to make to the top 10. And the reality is, not a lot of us believed that he was going to make it to the top 10. And now we got to look back and give credit to this guy. He made it. He beat Michael Crizo. He beat Ian Valliere. He beat Blessing. He beat a lot of those guys. And in his first Olympia, he made it to the top 10. This guy is good.
That second call out was deep.
Yeah.
You look at well, Samson stopped at that 6, but 7 through 11, 7 through 12 was the top from around the world that could have won a pro show. Well, that did win pro shows to get there.
You had Hunter in that call out. You had Bonek on that call out. Obviously, Samson was on that call out.
Wavering in and out.
Correct. You had Michael Crizo on that call out. Ian Valliere on that call out. So it was Andrew Jack was in that call out. You know, he was in the center. But there was a moment there. During the judging that was critical, which was Rafael Brandon next to Michael Crizo. And once they call a back double biceps, Big Steve called a back double biceps, Rafael beat Michael Crizo on that. It shocked me.
Giving up 50 pounds.
Why would that shock you? He improved his back.
No, and listen, I give him a lot of credit. And then they switched places with Ian Valliere and Rafael. And then Big Steve switched right back.
Another one.
Big Steve switched right back and said, no, I think Rafael should be a little bit more towards the center. So this guy battled against bigger guys, and it was the improvement on the back that got him to be in the top 10. Rafael Brandon, vai Brasil, parabéns, você merece, congratulations. You did it on your first Olympia.
My Portuguese is a little spotty, but he said, congratulations, your bangs look beautiful. You should get them cut for next Olympia, but we're looking forward to higher placings.
Okay.
You know what? Speaking of all that and much, much more, it's not bad. Let's look at his individual routine.
Let's take a look at that.
Let's talk about these lines and things that we talked about before. And, he was giving up, compared to some of the guys above him, 30 to 60 pounds.
Yeah, but he's a shape guy. He's the guy that's going to be more detailed. You want to have like a human anatomy chart. That's what your goal is as a pro bodybuilder. So he is on the lines of shape, symmetry, balance, that's his strong point. So that's where just making his body complete is going to take him where he needs to go.
Well, you know, Tim, it goes back to, you know, you think about bodybuilding, and a lot of the people who are watching, they go, I would like to have the physique of that guy. And I think a lot of people would like to have the physique of C-Bum, Rafael Brandão, Andrew Jack. And in the past, when I was coming up, I used to look at pictures of Chris Cormier, Flex Wheeler. I'd say, man, I'm going to work out because I'm going to try to have a physique like this. He is the guy that we want to have a physique like.
Now, in the back shot and the back double by, I can see how it is he beat Krizo. We talked in a previous episode about Michael really.
Go back to the back shots?
Yeah, let's, Aaron, if you would, please.
Back there. So check this out. Stop right there. So I even told him at the show, when you do a back shot like this, you got to go way up on the toe. That's going to make that calf spike and get a little bit more pop to it. And so you won't have this illusion of a longer, elongated leg. So that's going to give you a little bit more pop here, and that's going to increase the effectiveness of the shot.
I also want to mention that not only does he have the lines, he improved the back, but you don't get to see this guy out of shape. He's got the lines on the hamstrings, the lines on the glute, and the back shot, which was a weak shot for him, now has some density. Aaron, if we can roll back again a little bit so we can see the back double biceps, you know.
The rear delts can come up a touch.
Yeah, let's see the back double biceps. Yeah,
boom, right there. That's beautiful.
So we didn't have this kind of density. Now, can it get better? Absolutely. But that's where he beat Michael Krizo and Ian Valliere from the back. So for those guys that are bigger than Rafael, you're losing on the lines. And now you're losing a specific shot, back double biceps. And now his conditioning is better than you. You're going to finish behind him.
Yes, and if you notice, like this is when you're putting a physique together, the right side of his body is longer than the left side. You can see how it looks like it's a thicker, more developed look on the left side of his lat as opposed to the right side of the lat. I don't know if you can see that with it.
I thought it was an angle from where I was looking at the screen, but I see it, Chris.
This is the longer side over here. So therefore, I would be doing that one arm stuff. A lot of people doing a lot more on the right side, under grip it, and just try to build a little bit more mass in this area to increase that.
You know, just like Andrew Jack, Andrew Jack, and Simpson Dauda, and obviously we got to put Terrick in there. They're the most genetically gifted guys. If Andrew Jack and Rafael Brandão have backs, then you can start going into the 90s. Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Sean Ray, everybody looks pretty. And that's bad news for guys like Nick Walker and Michael Krizo. The best thing for those guys is those big monsters, such as Big Ramy winning the show. Once you have aesthetically pleasing guys moving up, you're about to look like a box if you don't have the lines. And these guys are moving quick.
Well, now, elbow to elbow, absolutely beautiful. But here's a big thing. So we talk about how much weight he's giving up against Ramy, who now, if you're not conditioned and balanced, it's not going to matter. Nick Walker is massive, but brought some great conditioning. But a guy like this, what's his stage weight compared to the 90s, early 2000s bodybuilders? He's got to be close.
Yeah, it's probably close.
Roll a little bit. Roll a little bit, Aaron.
I was in the 50s myself. But
okay.
He was probably, I'd say at least around that area. What do you think?
230.
No, I think he's a little bit heavier, 240.
Yeah.
You know, what people don't understand is Rafael's a little bit tall. You know, you don't get to see, but he's a little bit taller than guys like Hadi and Terrick. And this is, okay, stop right here. Great shot.
Great shot.
You know, and one of the reasons that you could never ignore Rafael Brandão, you could say, okay, he needs to gain more mass, but there was one section of his body you could never underestimate was the quads. The quads made him have density from the beginning of his career, and now he's feeling up on top. But look at those abs. Look at the quads. He's pretty. He's pretty to look. It's beautiful bodybuilding.
Now, Chris, we talk about the teardrop. If anybody's wondering what that is, that's the one that's shaped like an absolute tear. That is perfection.
Yeah, so in this shot, even so, it looks great. If I'm bending this knee more, and if I'm bringing this heel up on the toe and inward, I'm going to create even more quad flare in that pose and even flare the lats in that pose. But an ab shot from this guy is deadly. So this is what you want to do when you go to compete, is to bring something, some density, bring some, look like you've been working hard on that body.
And Chris, Tim, let's go back to a very controversial topic. Do you see any imbalances, any abnormalities?
Nope.
Do you see any body part that's not showing separation out of the blue? Do you see any crazy stuff? No, you don't.
No, that's what you want to show.
This is bodybuilding, and that's why these guys are moving up quick, and the other guys are moving to the back.
If you're that lean, you need to be looking like a human anatomy chart walking around on that stage.
So let's roll this forward, guys, and finish out his individual routine. I think we still got a side chest, maybe a most muscular.
Nice shot. Nice
and
shot.
you know, he's a crazy wild dog, man.
Ooh,
he doesn't
nice
back
shot.
down. He calls. Look at that front lat spread shot.
Look at that.
He knows. He
Shaking
knows
his head
it's
like,
pretty,
yeah,
you know? Now he's gonna hit that front double biceps. Look at that.
Those are big
That's
arms.
just pretty. That's just pretty. Rafael, he's a great
Good job,
competitor.
baby. Good
Great
job.
Great job, Rafael.
Good job.
So,
Good job. Good job.
when we come back, we've got a topic, you know, they just kind of touched on it a second ago. Do you have separation in lines? Do you have abnormalities? There's something going on that we cannot hit on the subject enough. You're not going to want to miss this when we come back.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
All right, our next topic on Primetime Muscle can be a touchy one, but it very well should be. We're talking about an oil crisis. We're not talking about the Middle East or the Keystone Pipeline. We're talking about competitors putting oil of some sort or substances in their muscles
Or Nolatil.
meant to inflame the muscle in an unnatural way. Chris, this is an epidemic, is it not?
I mean, it was done a long time ago. I just think people are looking to do some type of injection more so than putting forth the effort in the gym to try to create the muscle size that they're looking for. And I think it's going to be one of the determining factors it's going to take. One of the determining factors that's going to demolish a lot of these guys' careers a lot sooner than what they need to be. So, with that being said, you guys, you got to understand that you will be shortening the lifespan of your muscle just by trying to do a shortcut. And I don't know if it's an internet thing, like you want some instant gratification of what your hard work is and in a fake way. Because I know when you guys are posting on Instagram or social media, it's not the real deal. It's not the real deal. It's not the real thing that's happening. You're showing a glamour. You're glamorizing everything in your life, not the worst parts of your life, but the most glamorous parts of your life. And that same mentality, to me, is being put forth on these guys' physiques, like guys and girls, not just guys, but guys and girls are trying to look for the shortest, fastest way to get to where they're trying to go. But anything that's good, it takes time to get it. If it's good, it takes time to get it.
Terrick, as a judge, what are you seeing?
Obviously, those are called imbalances, right? We identify it. It doesn't look natural. We know the human anatomy.
Do judges understand what's happening?
Well, I got to be honest. We don't have to. We don't have to. I don't know what kind of chemical is being inserted.
But you see that.
I don't know.
You see when
Hey, calm down.
No, you calm down. You calm down.
You just
calm
spoke
down.
for 5 minutes.
Back it down.
Now you calm down.
Kick it down a
Maybe
notch.
you learn something in this miserable life of yours. My job, and the job of every judge is to judge what we see, not to speculate what has transpired on an athlete's life prior or after the show. I don't know what kind of exercise Chris Cormier did to get his biceps big to win the 1993 Mr. USA.
What about those
I
quads?
don't know what kind of exercise, but what I see is muscle development, and I have to judge that based on the criteria of bodybuilding, such as symmetry, muscularity, conditioning, and shape.
As a judge,
as a judge, when you see some of these imbalances, these they're not natural, you just mark it down.
Okay.
This does not look. And you can include injuries as well. You know, Dorian Yates' biceps, that's an imbalance.
Don't make me come out of this chair.
The lat for Ronnie Coleman is an imbalance.
Yes.
If you go and you inject some type of detergent on your arm and inflames for the 5 hours you're on stage and you think you're impressing the judges, you're not. And I don't know what's happening. It's not my job to identify what's happening. My job is to judge on stage. And all these guys that are bringing these imbalances, you are not moving forward.
And don't think that people don't notice. Sometimes you have upper quad development more so. Sometimes you have lower quad development more so. You're changing things that should not be able to be changed. Then you got muscle insertions. You got size. You can increase the size, but you're not going to change the shape on the muscle. Your bicep is not going to be flat one show. The next show, it's like an ice cream cone on it. The next show, you got, your trapezius got these round explosion marks here. Then they go fade out into a thin nothing into your neck. All that's going to be developed. But if you put it right in the middle of your trapezius there, and then you got to go put it in the middle of the quads here. You got this big swooping hamstring that a lot of people like. And a lot of people would put in front of myself back when I was competing, and what pissed me off is that when you do that and you don't have your side of your quad feathered, and then you got that slap of like a plate on the side of your quad because it's a real quad. It's not a quad that's gonna start from your hip and loop way out. That's not a real quad.
That's what I was going to ask you about, and that's what I was going to ask Terrick about. So, guy comes walking out. There's this beautiful swoop, but now there's no feathering. There's no separation.
How obvious is
glutes? And you got striated glutes.
You got striated glutes, but you got nothing in the front.
In your ham drop, it's like somebody's got a honey baked in a plastic sack.
No, he's got no separation on his front quads.
We're taking the gloves off today. We're taking the gloves off today.
He's got no separation on the front quads. He's not going to be on the first call out if you don't have that separation. If you look in balance. And now let's also jump into the female categories, okay? You come in walking into a wellness category. Your legs are a certain, thin looking, and then you look at the entire body, and then you got this huge imbalance here. Okay,
but also
you're going to be on one of the last call outs.
Yeah, but one of those girls are also jabbing up the quads, jabbing up the glutes. These coaches got to be held responsible too, because they are possibly behind it also.
And then, and that's just incredible. All this speculation about nerve damage, this and that.
No, it's not that.
All this stuff. Phil Heath, who won 7 Mr. Olympia, say you start putting all these chemicals in your body, and then your body, it takes so long for your body to get lean because he's dealing with the chemical warfare in your body. And Phil Heath said you just got to train and have the glandular, passage receive those signals and improve your performance. So not inject something on your forehead so your forehead gets bigger.
Not to name drop, but Phil and I actually had an expanded talk about that. And it's not just about you younger guys, you need to understand this. If you're thinking, what is the future of my career in the NPC? What do I want to do with the IFBB? You're already looking at some of these things your coaches give you with your supplements, and you're unfurling this scroll that looks like the Magna Carta. There's 5, 10, 20 things on it. You're already saying, how much of my life do I potentially want to shorten, inhibit, or change for this goal? And now you're talking about putting oil in there like you're a car. What do you put in a quart of 20/50 to make your hams look good?
I had this guy who I was training, and I said, hey, I'm not all about them injections and stuff like that. I want to see clean lines in your legs. I say, if you do that, you're gonna piss me off. What did he do going to the show? He put some stuff in his hamstring. I'm like I don't see that. Like, I don't know what the difference is. I know what the difference is. I know what a human body looks like, and I know what's possible for the human muscle, how the muscle is going to look in a human body. And that's not it. And I guarantee you, some of these shots in the back and all that stuff, these backs are moving away from a Christmas tree into a whole forest because you keep fucking, but you keep jabbing into your back with a substance that's not supposed to be there, and it's gonna eat the muscle up. That's why your lats are moving up your back. That's why you're gonna shorten your career. That's why you're not gonna be doing this in another 2 years. You're gonna be done.
That's not bodybuilding. You're not a bodybuilder if your strategy is to inject your body and to inflame some body part, thinking that it is gonna look bigger.
And it's not gonna look good.
Cancel your gym membership. Just cancel your gym membership.
Just go to the bathroom.
Go to the forums and join some of those crazy lunatics, okay, that just have those huge Simto arms and try to get views on the forums of all the bodybuilding is building muscle tissue. It's getting on a diet. It's reducing body fat. Bodybuilding is Derek Lunsford, is Andrew Jack, Rafael Brandão, Hadi Chupin. And if you have an imbalance, fix it. Don't come on stage with it. We're not going to tolerate. You're going to be wondering what happened on the last call out, and everybody knows what happened.
And a physique, when you go to compete, don't tell me you can fool everybody and make them think that these injection marks are real muscle. It looks totally unnatural. It looks like you didn't train that hard. It looks like it's an untrained muscle, and there's a difference with a trained eye. It's the difference between an injected muscle or a muscle that you work for in the gym. It's a total different thing.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I've got probably the best seat, even better than the judges sometimes, as the MC, and I'm sitting at the podium, and I look over, and if it didn't go intramuscular, I'm seeing a bubble that looks like some kind of a cyst that I know is an cyst, because a cyst has shape when you get lean.
And not just the guys, some of you girls, man, some of you girls, you think you're not gonna have to do that leg extension that hard. You're not gonna have to do that leg press that hard, that leg curl that hard. You can just inject it and call it a day. It's not gonna happen.
At every level, guys, I guess this is what we cannot harp on this enough. At every level, you've got to highly consider, what do I want to do and where am I going with this, before you think this is what I'll do to get there. Cutting corners isn't going to do it. The judges are catching on to it.
Not to mention your circulation. Your circulation is going to be done, and I guarantee you're going to pay for it one day. You're going to have to pay the piper. So don't go crying to me when you're paying the piper.
Well, we saw a podcast, and we saw our buddy Nick Trigilli talking about that on Bodybuilding and BS, talking about potentially killing the circulation in an area, because he did some research with some doctors, that once you do that, you never get the full muscle engagement.
You won't get it back.
You don't get muscle engagement after that.
I've seen it 100,000 times. I've seen it over the years 100,000 times. It never comes back. So don't think it's coming back. So you're showing up to the show with a tricep shot with no horseshoe. It's because you've been injecting the hell out of it, and it ain't coming back.
And then they want to go,
coming back. You're done.
I got to do stem cell in freaking Paraguay, or order a horseshoe on Amazon and just stick it in there.
You're done.
Get the hell out of here. Cancel your gym membership.
You're done.
Oh, all right. Well, we may have to visit this topic, tell you all, knock it the heck off. But we wanted to make sure that we're putting it out there and that everyone's well aware of what's going on.
Just the facts.
Just the facts.
Just the facts.
And we have more facts coming up on our final segment today of Primetime Muscle. Wheelchair bodybuilding is back on the big stage where it well belongs, and we had another big year for Harold King Kong Kelly, who we found out, thanks to him, that he was named that by his daughter, and he just is on a tear.
Okay. And I want you to apologize to the king. You want to be down with the king?
No.
Kelly, you get out there and apologize, because put that camera on him, because he doubted the abilities of the king. You.
Wow.
There's your camera right there.
Can I start my apology?
Hey, some of it's from the heart and some of it's...
Stop twirling your thumbs.
Harold, congratulations on a great performance. You really stood out as a great competitor. And I want to apologize because there was some doubt that you would have been challenged by Gabriele Andriuli, who won the Arnold Classic. And in reality, you came back to the Mr. Olympia stage and you completely dominated. My apologies to you.
Oh, to catch Chris on that monitor dancing on the side. Everybody's got their apology.
Down with the king.
That was somewhere between heartfelt and blinking to your captors to be. Here's where I'm being held.
Hey, can we just be specific about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told you.
So Harold Kelly absolutely dominated the stage, and he wasn't in great conditioning at the Arnold, but I think he decided to show up at the Olympia, and it was complete dominance from beginning to the end. And I gotta give credit to Chris Cormier, who said, nobody can challenge Harold Kelly. And during the discussion, I was very adamant about saying, well, he just lost to Gabriele Andriuli. The reality is,
and I said,
when Harold Kelly is on point,
he turns
God bless America, that King Kong is fantastic.
Well, and it's tougher for the wheelchair guys to find venues to qualify to get to the big show. CJ has her show in, I believe it's the West Palm, Fort Lauderdale area, the Wheelchair Nationals and the pro show there. You've got the Arnold and only a couple others. So by the time everybody gets there, they don't know what everybody's going to look like. So, you know, Chris is talking, you're talking Gabriele Andriuli was February, March of the year. So Harold had 7-8 months to ramp up.
He was not in great condition at the Arnold, and he is the best. He is the best wheelchair competitor. Now, he's lost before. And I want to mention Nick Scott has beat him. Nick Scott, who I love. Nick Scott, one of the greatest ambassadors of our sport. This guy carries the flag for all the wheelchair competitors. And I'm a huge fan. Follow Nick Scott on Instagram. One of the great, inspiring stories of our sport. Nick Scott beat Harold Kelly in the beginning of his career. But since then, Harold Kelly has been absolutely dominant. We just had a surprise at the Arnold. But the thing is, he's more massive than everybody. If he gets conditioned, it's game over. So
let's look at the first call out from this year, which is one of our favorites. You had some of the big names in there: Adolfo Cerami, Gabriele. Who else do we have up here? Harold, of course.
Look, Harold, you know he's number one.
Yeah, I'll go over here.
I know I'm number one.
Where do I go, Tony? Oh, in the middle.
Look,
you know, the best thing about the wheelchair competitors, they move on the lineup easier than everybody.
Right?
I mean, it's like, maybe they should teach all the other competitors. You tell number 7 to number 8 to switch places. They do it faster than anybody.
Man, look at that spread. Look at that body. Like, no one can touch
So now
me.
they're bringing Gabriele. So this is an Algerian competitor. He always has great conditioning. He doesn't have the mass of Gabriele Andriuli. And here, Harold Kelly is bigger than everybody. But they're going to bring Gabriele right here because he's the guy that beat Harold Kelly at the Arnold. But his conditioning is nowhere near where he was at the Arnold. And this guy's conditioning is phenomenal.
Well, Harold told me that he wasn't as focused as he should have been for that show, and that he was going to make a big difference and going to make up for it at this next Olympia.
Now that was a tight, okay, this is tight. I see a big size difference with Harold and Gabriele.
That is the Lee Haney wheelchair right there before your eyes.
He's on what, 5 titles?
Yeah, no, you can just see Harold Kelly is a little bit more refined. And now we see the back double biceps. Jean-Pierre here has great back double biceps.
Man, I mean, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you see they're missing separation here. This guy from Algeria, his name escapes me, but he's great conditioning, but he needs more size. Jean-Pierre from Brazil, great back lat spread.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
nice
Belfort from Canada, he's smaller than them, but man, he comes in shredded. He put on a show there.
Very cool. He did a little flip for me in the hallway that was pretty remarkable, and told me the story behind it. He was doing it to impress this girl, and then decided to start putting it in his posing routines. I like that.
And you know, here's the story. Harold Kelly, this monster here. Okay, he lost.
Look at that.
You know, I love when Nick Scott tells us a little bit about the story. But both of these guys had car accidents, right? He was with his wife, Harold was with his wife and daughter, and they saw an animal, and he tried to, you know, drive away from the animal, and he hit a tree, and that's how he became paralyzed. Same thing with Jean-Pierre in North Brazil. He was driving after a party, his body got launched out of the car, and these are amazing stories, inspiring stories. I'm very passionate about this category because they're not only great bodybuilders, they carry a story of resilience. How many of us sometimes, you know, we play the victim, we go, oh, my life is so hard, my life is so challenging. These guys wake up every day knowing they're not going to stand up, but they never give up. They go to the gym and they train hard. All of them are sending a message to us. You can do it. You should never complain about it.
Well, and you always talk about conditioning when these guys start getting put through their quarter turns,
right,
and how beat up certain guys. You know, the open, sometimes these guys are pouring water, they're not controlling their breathing. They're running these guys through the paces and switching them around a lot.
I'll tell you what, in Harold, he could probably stand his ground in the open category if he was, you know, not have went through the tragedy that he went through. But I mean, I guarantee you, he would.
Yeah, that upper body is top notch.
Yeah,
you know, and that's the thing. When it comes to wheelchair, Harold Kelly is the monster. I need to apologize to my friend Chris Cormier. I gave him such a hard time.
Put it here.
But you know what I mean? You were right. You were right. It hurts me to say it. And I want to say, yes, Harold.
Number one, baby.
This guy, Chris Cormier, was rooting for you from the beginning. And I said Gabriele was going to give you a hard time, but you dominated. You were right for the first time since we've been doing this show.
Thank you.
That's
Actually, it was not true, but anyway.
Well, it's easier when I don't have to separate you two. Well, guys, this is an incredible class. It's awesome to see it back, you know, in its rightful place.
Nice shot right there.
Oh, look at the condition.
So right here, first place, Harold Kelly. Second place, Gabriele Andriuli. Third place, Algeria. Fourth place, Jean-Pierre. Fifth place, Adelfo. And sixth place, Belfort from Canada, who put on a show with his chair. That's the top six. Harold is dominant. Watch out for Gabriele if he gets conditioned, and for Jean-Pierre if he grows a little bit more size. I think they're the guys, if Harold ever retires, that can lead that category.
I could definitely see this guy moving up. Just a little bit more conditioning. You know, keep working those poses to create the better physique up there. And I could see that moving up real quick. Big guy.
Yeah. So it was just another great category that we got to see that these guys came up and battled it out. Nick presenting the trophies and checks and the awards, the medals. It's always, you know, the stories are inspirational. Every competitor has a story. These guys have challenges just to train to get that leanness without being able to go, hey, today I'm going to do a Stairmasters, tomorrow I'm going to do a treadmill.
Right.
They have the limitations and they overcome them at every level.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you gotta take your hat off to these guys because that's tough. Even, you know, without the limitations, it's a tough road to climb.
In the end of the day, Tim, Chris, what we want from sports, from our children, for ourselves, are stories of motivation, inspiring stories. The guy that couldn't beat Ronnie Coleman and finally did, Jay Cutler, right? The guy that everybody had doubts and thought that he could never do anything in the sport, and he actually did it, you know? So all those are inspiring stories. In the wheelchair division, all of them represent possibly the strongest stories that we have, because we're dealing with a sport that requires performance, physical performance, and they have a limitation, which is critical. They can't do cardio, they can't do legs, that limits so much of what we do as people that can walk and can move freely. They don't have that, but you look at them and you go, that never stopped them from going to the gym, getting out of their cars, hitting a front double biceps, hitting a back double biceps. Look at Harold Kelly's face right there.
Yeah,
he's like,
fully invested.
He's like, I am the king,
Fully
I'm alive,
invested.
and I'm gonna keep doing this. I wanna thank these guys for what they have done for the sport and for all of us.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank them, and of course, we want to thank you for joining us on Primetime Muscle. Like, subscribe, share, of course.
Leave some comments.
Leave some comments.
Comments.
And as always, for the real deal, Chris Cormier.
Love you guys.
Terrick Elgindy. Follow these guys on their social media like Instagram.
Olympia TV as well. Subscribe right now.
Tim Wilkins, as always, we will see you next time on the next episode of Primetime Muscle.